Game week 38 Premier League lineups, 20 teams, one final day, one final game. Here we go, going over lineups, injuries, suspension situations for all of these teams. Here we go. Rotowire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial. I am Adam Zdroik. You can find me at Roto Zdroik or follow RotoWire Soccer at RotoWire Soccer on Twitter. If you're watching this, make sure to give a thumbs up on the video. Please subscribe to the channel. This is the final Premier League weekend of the season. I will be doing the show before press conferences. This is Thursday morning, not Friday morning. We haven't gotten one press conference yet on Thursday, so it's assumed we're going to be getting 20 press conferences Friday morning. And I know for all the Sorare people, the deadline is at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we're probably going to only get about half of those press conferences. Either way, there's only a few teams that have something to play for as we wind down the season. So there's already going to be rotation in addition to what injuries we're talking about. So let's get into it. I'm going to be using the FPL cheat sheet, though we do have a DraftKings cheat sheet up as well because that slate was already released. But I'll be using FPL. We also got the FPL rankings, Fantrax rankings on the site. If you're looking for more things, we got a betting show. We got DFS content. We're going to have pretty much a constant stream of content going at the site on the YouTube channel. So subscribe to that as we wind down the Premier League season. Rotowire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial gets you these cheat sheets, also gets you our full range of stats. Here we go. Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, the biggest favorites on the slate. Let's see if we can do this in sub 30 minutes. So Sheffield United home against Tottenham. I'm just going order of this cheat sheet here. I don't think there's a rhyme or reason of this order. It's not alphabetical or anything. But West Fotheringham, I believe his contract is up, so this is going to be his last game for Sheffield United. Injury wise, I have them back. First off, I have them back into their 3-5-2. They were a 4-4-2 last match. That was because Ahmedovich was suspended, but he's going to be back now. So that's another center back available to them. Ben Osborne, battling a minor calf issue, missed last week's game. If he's not there, Larucci will probably get another start on the left wing. Arblaster, I'll click into Arblaster's profile here, and tight calf here, according to Chris Wilder. I can't lose him for the final game. So with that assumption, you got to think that he's going to be ready. And if he's ready, he's going to be in the starting 11. Andre Brooks, almost a similar situation there. If one of those guys doesn't start, we'll probably get Vinicius in the middle. We'll get Oliver Norwood in the middle, something like that. Jaden Bogle has been pretty much a regular on the right wing. And then you got Archer, Brereton Diaz up top. Tottenham, this one looks a little different. So they were played a little more defensive there against Manchester City, though granted, they played well against Manchester City, I'll say. Though I did remove Højbjerg from the lineup just to get, I think, it's Kulusevski that was dropped midweek against Man City. But, Sheffield United, do you really want Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Pape Sarr in your team again? Maybe, but I'm just thinking that maybe it's just the preferred 4-2-3-1 here for Postecoglou. And that also includes Dragusin back also in the starting 11 here. Van de Ven, giving him some more run at left back. I think he wants to try that out a little more. Also wants to give Dragusin some minutes here in the Premier League to see what kind of quality he can bring. So the back line, again, the back line's the same as what they had against Manchester City. And then Bentancur, Pape Sarr remain in there. And I took out Højbjerg and put in Kulusevski. So you got Madison, Brandon Johnson's son with Kulusevski in that front four there. Manchester City, pretty much the same group that they've been running out. And as an example, I was using for myself, usually in like Champions League, sometimes like Pep, if it's not needed, Pep isn't going to rotate. De Bruyne had a kick to his back of his foot in the last match against Tottenham. Ended up coming off, but it was only a scrape. It wasn't muscle related. It wasn't anything. It wasn't a strain or anything. So I think he's going to be in here. I don't think there's too many questions about that. And then what they've been running out, they've had Kovacic next to Rodri in that midfield role. And John Stones has been on the bench, so I think it's just going to be the same back line as well. So no changes. And then we got the update this morning of Ederson. He had a fractured eye socket, something like that, fractured eye socket. So Ortega will be starting this match and the FA Cup final. Otherwise, this is the front four. So basically, with this lineup, Kovacic is starting over your Jack Grealishes, your Jeremy Doku's, that kind of thing. So, but I think Pep kind of likes his lineup a little bit, so I think that's what they go back to. Again, they played Tuesday, so this is Tuesday to Sunday, so it's not like a massive or a quick turnaround here for them. West Ham, they got those injuries on the back line. I don't think either Aguerd or Mavropanos will be ready to start. So we'll probably get Agbana and Kurt Zuma back in there. Aaron Cresswell, I wonder if there's a slight chance West Ham go a little more defensive, maybe throw in like at times in prior seasons. David Moyes has gone like 3 center backs. Maybe you remove someone from this group. Maybe you remove Souček, I guess, or maybe not JWP. And then you have Cresswell back there. So you basically have 5 defenders. Ben Johnson also an option. I don't know. I mean, this is the final match for David Moyes. What does he want to do? It feels like he kind of wants to go out with some sparks. I feel like they kind of want to get some goals, and you can walk away from this be like, yeah, we tried to get the win, we tried to get 3 points, we got a couple goals, but Man City in the end got 5 goals, and their quality was a little better. Or they play super defensive. I mean, at some point, they're already a defensive team that doesn't have a ton of possession, but Edson Alvarez has been dropped, was dropped last match, went off after 45 minutes in the prior game. So he would be an option to come in as well. But just because he was dropped, I wonder if that remains the case. I think he would, if they stick with the 4-2-3-1, I think he would probably come in for Souček. GWP has been in and out of the 11 for the past few months, but I think he deserves it. Deserves a call up here. There's a chance it is Souček and it's an Alvarez there, and then Pocket, seemingly a future Manchester City player here. Maybe he gets dropped against his future team, or maybe not. We'll see. Antonio, I guess, is an option to be dropped as well. So West Ham can go in any number of ways here. You got at Manchester City, the final match for David Moyes. So there could be a couple different looks for what West Ham will look like in this one. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter much for fantasy purposes at all because they're at Manchester City, but maybe so are rivals. I don't know. Some fantasy games, you may care about their lineup. Luton Town home against Fulham. Luton Town, all but guaranteed to drop down unless they win this one about 10-0, something like that. So this is pretty much the same group they've been running out, though they picked up injuries last week. Ross Barkley, we'll get an update on him. That is probably the big one because Ross Barkley went down last week, and they kind of lost everything a little bit there at West Ham. They were up 1-0, and then they gave up 3 goals in the second half. I think they're all in the second half at least. So Ross Barkley is the main question there. If he's not ready to start, Jordan Clark is expected to come in the midfield, and he's just not the same kind of central midfielder as Ross Barkley is. So that's a problem for them. But Osho, Mengi, Burke, all those guys have been starting. Doughty, and then Agbene returned from his hamstring injury last week. So if he's good to go, if he had a good week of training, I expect Agbene to be in the 11 over Hashioka, over Fred, Anyadima. So you got that there. Chong has been pretty much a regular lately, and then Morris and Adebayo. I think he's on a couple starts now since returning from injury. So those are the main things for Luton Town. I don't think we're getting anyone big back. I do see all these questionables, but we'll get the update from Edwards. But if anything, maybe Ross Barkley's fine. Maybe I think it was a calf issue. Again, just click into his profile to figure out what that was. But if Barkley is good to go, he'll start over Jordan Clark. If not, probably Jordan Clark or really anyone else. Fulham, Fulham's another team where there could be some changes. Kenny Tete has a few starts this season, and when he started, he hasn't been as good as Castagna. So that could be a spot where okay, maybe there's rotation there. I got Tim Ream in over Issa Diop, who's suspended. I think this might be Tim Ream's last game at Fulham. I'd have to double check that. So this would be a good buy of sorts for Tim Ream. Kelvin Bassey, more of a center back for the future. And then Sasa Lukic is injured. And then Iwobi actually started in that defensive midfield role last week, but at Luton Town, maybe they don't take that same route. I think it was Bobby Day Covert Reed and Willian got subbed at 45 minutes last week. So I would say there's no guarantee for minutes for any of these guys. Funny enough, maybe Pereira and maybe Munoz might be of the front four might be most likely to go more than 80 minutes of these guys, but again, nothing to play for here. So you expect 5 subs. I guess Adama Traore, maybe he's an option to start as well. Harrison Reed, another option to start as well. I think if you look a little deeper, maybe like these guys on maybe playing their last game for the club. I'm not sure exactly where Harrison Reed's at. So if Harrison Reed's ready to start, I know he was injured recently. He could be an option to start over Kearney. So that's what we're looking at right there. Liverpool, Andrew Robertson was returned to training. I think it was an illness that he missed out last week, but he's good. He's been training this week, so I expect him to be in at left back again over Joe Gomez. Kwanzaa has been starting over Kanate, so I expect that to continue as they've been okay. They've been okay. They are getting. I guess they didn't beat Aston Villa, but either way, maybe Kanate starts. McAllister, Endo, Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott has started the last 2. I think that continues. Their goal scoring has been pretty consistent. Gakpo starting over Darwin Nunez. I think that's the case again. If like Jota returns, it'd be off the bench. So wouldn't expect many major changes there. I don't think Endo is dropped though. It is an option. Home against Wolverhampton. Maybe they just go all out. Maybe Szoboszlai starts. Maybe Gravenberch starts, something like that. But I just got the same group, kind of what they've been rolling out recently, and they've been scoring goals with. Jose Sa was a late scratch last week because of an illness. Again, figures to be okay. So I assume he's going to start. Semedo has been starting at center back despite Santi Bueno being healthy, but there is a chance Santi Bueno returns from this one. He is a younger center back, so maybe they just give him a start against Liverpool, see how it goes, or maybe O'Neal wants to see more of Semedo playing the center back role and then giving a start to Doherty on that wing there. One change here, another change at least. I got Bellegarde in. He would start over Boubacar Traore. Traore started a couple in a row now, but he went 45 in that last game. Bellegarde came on for him. He's coming off an injury. So Pablo Sarabia also an option to come in, but yeah, I think that's it. I mean, we could get Traore starting in the midfield again, maybe over Gomez or Lamina. Again, this is a situation where okay, you're at Liverpool. There's not a ton to play for. You've closed the season in pretty bad form. So what's going to happen? But Hee-Chan Wang, and Cunha are healthy, so those guys figure to start. Maybe Bellegarde gets back in there as well. Crystal Palace. We'll have to wait on the injury news of Will Hughes. He got subbed off in the first half last week. Ahamada came on for him. He picked up a red card, so he's out. So what my change was Mark Gahey. He's been back for a couple weeks from his I think it was a hamstring injury. So I got McGahey back in the starting 11, and then I moved Chris Richards back in the midfield. This is by no means going to happen. I don't think Richards has actually played in the midfield under Glasner, but they don't really have a ton more options unless they go to the academy, unless they go to the U23 team, which is possible. Again, last match of the season, but maybe Glasner wants to try Richards in the midfield. Wharton is a player who can play a little more forward as well. Though, I mean, you could compare Richards to Will Hughes a little bit if you want. At least as a Mateta, probably the last time these 3 guys will start together. So I assume that's going to be the case here. So the one question is Richards going to move to the midfield? And then if he doesn't, is Gahey going to be on the bench again? Probably the main question. They have a few options. Crystal Palace have a few options. I guess you could say like Roxaki, but he's not really a central midfield type. Like you don't really want him in that to take Will Hughes' spot. Not really the same player. You could go Riedewald, but I believe Riedewald's actually done at the club. This would be his last game. I don't think he gets to start. Schlupp in that central midfield role, probably not. So that's kind of what we're looking at, unless we drop even further to youth players. So I think Richards does have the leg up there, assuming Will Hughes is out. So something to keep an eye on. Not a massive deal, but that is the question there with Crystal Palace. Aston Villa, what is it? Tuesday night, so they celebrated their Champions League arrival. So what's it going to look like? Is John Duran going to get a start? I think that's actually in range. I think it almost might be 50-50 that John Duran starts here. Gets the brace, gets the brace against Liverpool in the final 10 minutes or whatever it was. So he could start here. Probably wouldn't remove Ali Watkins from the 11. It could remove Moussa Diaby from the 11. I'd say he would be the one guy who isn't most likely to start from this group. Again, they're already qualified for Champions League play, so it could look a little different. Maybe Diego Carlos is dropped for Longlet. I know Matty Cash and Alex Moreno, neither one of those guys is 100%. So we'll probably get Luca Digne again. We'll probably get Ezri Konsa at right back. So there's not a ton they can do because they're already dealing with so many injuries and their bench is already thin. But John Duran would be an option. Zaniolo also out for probably at least a month here. He's got a fractured bone in his foot, something like that, suffered last match. So they're really thin. So there's not a ton they can do, but I'd say John Duran is the one guy who could come in the starting 11 just based off the last game and based off of nothing to play her for. Aston Villa, Chelsea still have a little bit to play for. I think it is they just need a point from this one, and then they are guaranteed to get that Europa Conference League spot. So Reece James got a 4-match ban, got that red card after VAR on Wednesday. So probably Malo Gusto going to get another start at right back. Though that is not guaranteed. Again, this is a Wednesday to Saturday turnaround. There is a chance it will be, I think Chalobah has played at right back a couple times recently, and then you get Thiago Silva and Badiashile at center back. But this is the final game at Chelsea for Thiago Silva. So Thiago Silva is going to he'll be starting. I think that's basically guaranteed unless he picks up a training injury. Thiago Silva will get the start here after being rested midweek. And then everything else, okay, Mudryk he had a concussion sub and he has been confirmed out. So probably we might get Nkuku back in the starting 11. He played about 60 or so minutes on Wednesday. So you figure that he's going to get the start. He's not going to be ready for 90. I mean, he's played off the bench a few times, but I think that would be the main change. Caicedo, Chelsea's player of the year, I just saw before starting this show up. Otherwise, no changes. They've been pretty much run out the same group for the last few weeks since Endo Fernandez got his surgery. So this is what I have in Nkuku most likely to start there in place of Mudryk, though Raheem Sterling is also an option, though I mean, the last home game of the season here, you got to think Nkuku, if ready, if healthy enough, gets to start over Sterling. Bournemouth, we could see Bournemouth is one team where they have the guys on the bench. There could be some rotation here that we're not really expecting. Enes Unal is an option to come in. Tavernier came off the bench from his injury. I don't really think he'd start. This is a guy who's had numerous muscle injuries in the past 18 months. I really don't think he's going to start, but it is always an option. Philip Billing, also an option to come in and start. Who else do we have? Alex Scott, an option to come in. Tyler Adams, an option to come in as a defensive midfielder. So you have a few ways to go. Max Aaron's an option to start at right back. Bournemouth could mix it up, or they could just run out what they've been doing. Really, you can't project this stuff. So unless some new injuries come out on Friday, you can't really project what Iraola is going to do. But you got to think like, okay, final match of the season at Chelsea. They've had a pretty good season. They don't want to close on like a 5-0 route because they rotated a ton. So you got to think that most of the regulars are in here for Bournemouth. Burnley are at home against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, Burnley couldn't get a point last game, or I mean, they couldn't get a win. And for yeah, I guess Nottingham Forest dropped that one against Chelsea. But unfortunately, this match doesn't mean anything. So that's a downer because there was a potential for this being a massive relegation battle here between Burnley and Nottingham Forest, but now it's just nothing here. So I don't think I changed and made any changes for Burnley. And at this point, you know, this has kind of been mostly what company's been running out. It's obviously changed between Vitinho and Charlie Taylor at left back, and then Vitinho and whoever on the wing. Um, I, maybe there's going to be some rotation. Maybe Josh Brownhill gets to start again, kind of a thing. But this has been most of his preferred guys. Uh, David Fofana is on loan, so you're probably not going to start him in the finale. So you got Foster and Odo Bear up front. They've been decent. They just can't. They can't get that final. They can't get that goal. Is what it comes down to. Nottingham Forest. Are they going to rotate some? There's always like one or two rotations that Nuno likes to do, whether it's putting Niakate or whoever, Omo Dele in at center back over Willie Boley, that kind of thing. I don't think Nico Williams is going to be ready to start, so probably Montiel again at right back. And then this midfield position of Danilo, Ryan Yates. You got to think, Captain Ryan Yates gets a start again. Danilo's been playing well, though Nicholas Dominguez is an option to come in, and then Gio Reyna also an option to come in for probably Alonga, which he's done recently. Also Taiwo Wani, an option to come in for Chris Wood. Again, all possibilities here, but just impossible to project what these managers want to do. And at this point, like, you've had some success. These are the lineups that you're running out here in recent games. So for some managers, they'll rotate a little bit. They'll try and see what they have in some of these guys. But, Gio Reyna's on loan. Like, it's not going to be like, what are we trying to find out with Gio Reyna at this point? They've had enough time with Nicholas Dominguez and Awani. I think, I don't think there's going to be a ton of rotation there, but never know. Brighton, Manchester United. De Zerbi is one guy who could rotate, but he doesn't have that many players to rotate. So that's the problem there. He was a manager who rotated massively when he had options to rotate, but that's just not available to him. Midweek, Lewis Dunk went down with a knock to his knee. I would be surprised if he starts. We're probably not going to get Veltman, Van Hex. I don't think he's going to be available either. We're probably not going to, if Lewis Dunk returns, maybe he starts. I'd be surprised though. Like, why? He picked up a knock midweek to his knee. He's fighting for, a spot in Euros, kind of a thing. So maybe he starts, maybe he doesn't. But if he doesn't, I got Barco at left back. The one worry here is that De Zerbi basically said he's not going to be playing. Barco is not going to be a left back going forward unless he puts on 20 pounds of muscle in his upper body, because he kind of gets pushed off the ball a lot. Barco probably not a left back of the future, more of a winger type for Brighton. But this is kind of where they're at this season, where they have basically all their fullbacks are unavailable. But Lamptey, assuming he had no reactions midweek, probably going to start again at right back. Barco left back. Igor next to Adam Webster at center back. Gilmore Gross, okay. And then I did drop Buonanotte, who has a bit of struggles to close the season. So compared to the match against Chelsea, I got Welbeck back in the starting 11, put Buonanotte back to the bench, and then Enciso, Pedro, and Adingra getting starts. I think I'm fairly confident in Enciso, Pedro, and Adingra starting. The one question would be obviously Welbeck, who didn't start midweek. But so I didn't rotate a ton for Brighton, but there's not a ton they can do. Manchester United, this is it's always been a difficult one recently, but you just beat Newcastle. He's got the win at home. Played pretty well against a pretty solid side, so why not just keep doing it? This I don't know. This is a tough one. Like, Hoyland, obviously, they're number 9 of the future. He was just dropped midweek, and they scored. They looked pretty good. Diallo was, of course, Diallo goal from a set piece, and Kobe Mino, the goal was slightly random a little bit, but I thought about this one a little bit, but at the end of the day, I'll just kind of match what they just did, and they just got the win. So I don't know. I thought Lissandro Martinez would have a chance to start midweek, but there's no reason to push him. So if there's no reason to push him, then why are you going to push him here, coming off a pretty lengthy absence? So I got Johnny Evans and Casemiro again at center back. Then this kind of a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, however you want to call it. This is what they did last game. McTominay, Amrabat, and Mano all in the midfield. Maybe they do that again. Um, the change would be, obviously, if Hoyland started, he would come in for Amrabat, kind of thing. If Rashford started, he would come on for Diallo, kind of thing. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Either way, I think it seems like McTominay is escaped from his injury. Maybe not 100% yet, but either way, we're probably guaranteed McTominay. We're guaranteed Kobe Mino. We're guaranteed Garnacho. We're guaranteed Bruno Fernandes. The questions would be Amrabat and Diallo. Diallo had a pretty nice goal there. I think Diallo gets to start no matter what. So maybe it's down to Amrabat or Hoyland here to figure out this lineup. But, final match of the season. We'll see. I'm just sticking with Amrabat. He's been okay. He's gotten us a couple stars lately. Brentford, Newcastle. We're winding down here. We're winding down. A lot to get to. Nathan Collins, obviously a question because Ben Mee is out. Collins went down last week. That's one of the injuries we'll have to pay attention to on Friday at press conferences. If Nathan Collins is out, we'll probably get Zanka back at center back. Otherwise, everything probably should be the same. This is kind of what they've been running out. Damsgaard has been playing really well, so I figure he's going to start again, which would leave Matthias Jensen on the bench. Again, this is not a ton to play for, though it is home finale. So I do think Johan Wissa returns to 11 here. Keane Lewis Potter has been getting starts off and on. They've been kind of swapping here, but Wissa got the goal, I believe, off the bench last week, and then probably the final game for Tony at Brentford. So he's in there with Mbomo. Not a ton of changes here on my end, but that could always change in the finale. Newcastle, Trippier played 63 minutes, and he wasn't supposed to start Wednesday, but Livramento picked up an injury of his own. So I think he's going to start again. That's kind of what, maybe 60, 70 minutes again. We'll see what his status is. Probably not 90 minutes, though. He wasn't ready to start Wednesday. So, you figure he's going to be 80, 90% for Sunday's match. But I actually put Fabian Schär back in. He returned from his, I think it was a hamstring tweak on Wednesday. I got him in over Emil Kraft and then Lewis Hall in here. Though I guess, you kind of look at it. Newcastle probably not going to get that European spot after their loss. So maybe Kraft does get the start, probably 50-50 on Schär and Emil Kraft. I do have Joelinton in. He's come off the bench a couple times. So give him the start over Elliot Anderson just to close the season off. I think Longstaff and Guimaraes are pretty good here. I think all of this is pretty sad. Almiron has been back for a couple weeks now, but I think he kind of lost his role this season a little bit. And I think Howe wants to check out Jacob Murphy a little more here playing in this role. So Murphy, Gordon, Isak there. Callum Wilson probably not going to be back in the starting 11, given he's missed the last, week and a half. So that's a look there. And then Arsenal home against Everton, the final one. No changes here for Arsenal. No, not really any reason to change here. Tomiyasu, obviously Friday press conferences, Arteta is going to come out. It's like, oh, we got to knock, we got to knock to Tomiyasu and Saka. And then everyone's going to be like, whoa, what's going on? That happens almost every week. So I wouldn't worry about it. Same lineup they've been using. Trossard playing over Martinelli, Havertz in this false 9 role, Saka, Partey been starting over Jorginho, all that good stuff. Tomiyasu been starting at left back over Zinchenko and Kiwior, and Everton. And Ashley Young starting because Michael Lenko is out. Seamus Coleman, I think he may have one more. He may be in play for another contract. His contract may end at the end of the year. Either way, I think Coleman gets to start again over Ben Godfrey. This is what they did last week because Jack Harrison is out. So we have James Garner playing a little more on the wing. You got Idrissa Gueye, Amadou Onana playing centrally. McNeil, Decore, Calvert-Lewin. Not really any massive surprises there, but there we go. Just hit the 30-minute mark. Hopefully this helped. Ran through all the 10 matchups here, all the 20 lineups. Again, rotation possible, new injuries also possible popping up in Friday press conferences. But hopefully we're pretty close to some of these projections. I know I'm going to be maybe 50% on some of them as well, because some of these managers will want to rotate, maybe check out some different players kind of thing. But check out our cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial. Please give a thumbs up to this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, all at home in massive spots, but also Tottenham actually have a higher implied goal total than Everton. Tottenham are at Sheffield United, Everton home, or Arsenal home against Everton. That's all I got. You can find me at RotoWire Soccer on Twitter or at Zdroik. Also, we got betting content. We got a betting show. I put the content. If you look at a prior video, I did like a pre-strategies for DFS. Content-wise, we got a betting show. There's going to be 22 bets on the show. Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That will be live. Me and Chris Owen. Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing the DraftKings DFS show. Me, Jack Burkhart, Jordan Cooper. And then I will be going live Sunday, just before lineup release. Sunday in the morning, before lineup release, to go over any changes in formation, any changes in lineup. So hopefully that'll help out as well for betting purposes, for DFS purposes. So that is I already put the show up on YouTube. So I don't know, get a notification or something, get a thumbs up on that video. Hopefully we can I don't know. Hopefully you can find some advantages, I guess, once the lineups come out. But that's all I got. Thank you for watching this one. Enjoy this final Sunday, everyone.